Ready?
Well, apparently he's a bit of a furniture when it comes to Fresh Brew because he's been our favorite property guru. Whenever we want to talk about property, let us introduce him. Once again, we got FAIZUL RIDZUAN, property industry advisor. FAIZUL, you're not bored of us, right? Us inviting you on the show?
He was just saying he would like to stay here until 4 in the morning. We told him, sure, you can stay here.
That was William. Yeah.
that was William. And beside him as well, we have William CHUA TIAN, who is a property owner and also one of the cliques of FAIZUL, I believe, either a mentee of some sort, if I'm not wrong.
Actually more of a, I would say, client.
Client, yeah. Wow, okay. Let's put FAIZUL on the spot then today, isn't it?
He learned when he was a student of university and he bought his first property as a student.
Yep.
Lovely.
Oh, wow.
All right. Okay.
So both of you, I know for you as well, you bought a property quite an early age. So you're very known for, I think it was like 20 properties, by the age of 30, am I
23?
23.
Before age of 30. Yeah.
So both of you are well versed in terms of buying property at a younger age. So let's just get into it. What is the current climate of property in Malaysia? Just give us a general overview in terms of where we're at.
We entered a record year in 2024. Highest number of property transaction, highest number of property value in the last 10 years. So essentially, we entered a full recovery since COVID in the year of 2024. We did exceptionally well, but 2025, I think, because of the global macro backdrop, so we're looking at a slowdown. So property transaction most likely will be lower compared to last year, but we think from a property value point of view, will be quite stable, most likely be higher compared to last year. A number of people looking to buy property will reduce compared to last year because last year was a freak year, third highest year in the last 50 years of Malaysia. So very exceptional year. But value-wise, I think we'll maintain. In fact, it will actually grow stronger. Johor just recorded a 20% property price growth year-on-year.
Wow.
Q2 this year versus Q2 last year.
Okay.
So Johor doing exceptionally well. Klang Valley, Penang, moderate, doing exceptionally well.
All right. Interested coming to you, William, the fact that, as mentioned by FAIZUL, you own a property while you were still studying. Prior to that, your first ever property. Now, first question, was that for your own stay or for investment? And second question, how did you manage to do that? Because I remember the time that I was studying, I was busy, trying to buy a guitar and play, in my room. That's it.
I see. Okay. I think first of all, as the first property I bought actually is more investment purpose. Okay. Right? And even until now, I'm still renting. Right, same as Mr. FAIZUL, right? So it's for investment purpose.
All right.
So second thing, how I actually made it so-called purchase it when I'm still a student, is because I work at the same time studying, right? So I studied real estate, right, in right? So that brings me to connecting with people in the industry, and I became an agent that time. So I have sort of income to get a loan and eventually buy a property where I'm studying.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
In terms of that, I remember I wanted to buy a house when I was like 21, and at this point, same. I had a stable income. I was already working for a couple of years. So, but when I wanted, because at the end of the day, before you want to buy any house or any property, you gotta get the biggest hurdle through, which is the loan. Banks gotta trust you to be able to pay off the loan or show some form of savings and whatnot. And then the reason I got was that, you're a bit too young to own a property. So what are some of the setbacks, or what are some of the misconceptions, or some of the things that we need to be wary about as a young first property purchaser?
I think the difference between people who can own a property at a young age and people who don't is not money, it's not rich parents, it's really having knowledge versus not having knowledge. So I would always tell this analogy whereby if you go to an exam, you study first, right? And then you prepare for the exam, then you go for the exam, right? So a lot of people approach bank loan or property purchase whereby I don't study, let me just go take the exam, and I'm surprised why I fail. Right? So it doesn't make sense. So you go from unbankable to bankable very predictably the moment you understand what the banks is looking for.
All right.
So banks like stable 4,000 per month salary for the next 12 months and for the last 12 months. So banks look for stability. And there are going to be some banks who are favorable towards young buyers. And there are going to be some banks who are not favorable towards young buyers. I have been rejected before because I was 25 and I had 3 properties and they deemed me to be too young
They're like, how do you own? Yeah. What are you doing here? You're just
I just
buying.
go to a different bank and start dating, right? So you reject me, I go somewhere else. You know? Right?
Sure.
So no big deal. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, it's funny to think of it because, again, when we look at the current situation right now, especially with the youngsters, we're talking about that age bracket between 21 and until 35, we still have a lot of youngsters out there who are still struggling to not even to invest in property, but to make ends meet at the end of the day. So, during your time, like you said, like you were I wouldn't say lucky, but you took the initiative to actually work and then being able to afford an investment buying a property. How did your friends see you at that time? I mean, like, were they jealous or did they just say that, you know, you're doing this for nothing? Or did that inspire your friends to be like yourself, being a property owner at a young age?
I think when I bought that, right, I think not all of my friends actually bought properties at that time, right? Obviously, I mean, they're still studying, right? So eventually when I bought it, and that did inspire my friends, and eventually they start to buy properties. And in fact, they are still good friends of mine, and we have a group that actively talk about properties. And this young group of people, right, we have about 50 properties of 8 people, right? And that's how we are as of now. And I think I inspired them. You know, in fact, they are working in different industries. So yeah, then I think that purchase at a young age did inspire them as well.
Yeah.
So.
And when we talk about property, are we specifically touching houses, apartment, landed houses, or are we also talking about, for example, offices? What do you do?
For me?
Yes, for you.
Okay. For us, we specialize in property that people can own using little to no capital, number one. The property has to be self-sustaining too. Right? Because I realized that the audience that we are serving as of today, a lot of them come from B40, M40. They don't have rich parents. They don't have 100,000 savings. Right? So they are literally on their own, just like how I started, just like how he started, right? So we tend to attract this profile of people. So we have to buy the safest property possible. And today, the safest property possible are not your landed property, right? Those are actually apartments bought at the right location, at the right price point. Because when you buy right, first and foremost, you do not need capital. So I can get to 23 properties before 30, not because I spend 50,000 on every property. No, I don't use any capital. He does not use any capital to own his 8 properties, right? So number one, once you have knowledge, it's very easy to find things that you can buy with little to no capital. Number two, it has to be self-sustainable. So when it comes to investment, the income of the property must be able to sustain the expenses required. So we specialize in apartments because today, apartments give you both capital gain and cash flow, and while landed property can give you capital gain, cash flow is terrible. So every property is a negative couple of $1,000 cash flow.
It is very important actually to understand which level that you're at to make sure that you're not actually burning money and thinking that you're actually doing investment at the end of the day. But a lot more that we're going to be talking about, a lot more that we're going to be dissecting in regards of our topic, Young Wallet, Wise Mind. So do not go anywhere. Stay with us here on Fresh Brew.
Is it difficult for you, for a Chinese guy playing the sitar?
With 79 years of experience and as the top platform for television and radio in Malaysia, RTM can indirectly help you and your business. Let us help you by promoting your product on our platforms today. Contact RTM for more information.
Welcome back on the show. Those of you young ones out there, your
younger ones.
Oh,
No, because when you specify young ones, I mean that they might be too young. So younger, that's in relation
so
with us.
So whatever in age bracket that you are young.
Exactly.
If you consider yourself young as well, and if you're thinking about purchasing property, is it a good time, or should you even consider investing in property? So with us, we have our two experts right over here, FAIZUL as well as William. Both of them are very much well known in the property industry. We don't need further introduction. But earlier, you guys mentioned something that I thought was very, very interesting. Although both of you are in property, both of you are still renting your own places, right? And FAIZUL, you also touched a little bit about the type of property we should consider, which is more favorable in terms of getting that money. Because at the end of the day, if you're investing, you got to make sure that you earn that ROI back. So besides the type of property, besides looking at whether or not you're even able to purchase the property, what are some of the other key factors for young property buyers out there should they consider before investing in any sort of property?
I think a lot of people just completely overlook what is the individual requirements and the individual limitations.
Of the buyer.
Okay. So, for example, if you make certain level of income, then you can afford a lot of things. If you make, let's say, for example, 4,000 to 5,000, there are going to be limitations, right? So I think the first thing we always ask people is that we look at their loan eligibility, number one. We also look at the savings, and then we look at their goal. Now, some people buy property for cash flow, some people buy property so that they can get cash, right? And some people buy property so that they can make some money, a few 100,000 next couple of years. So based on those, then only the property recommendation then comes in.
Okay.
So the first is the individual is the most important person, because they're going to be the one serving the loan, right? So once we look at that, analyze the profile, then only the property recommendation comes in. So for first-time home buyers, what I would generally recommend is to use as little capital as possible, because as a young person, you don't earn as much. You have limited savings, and you probably want to look at that savings for a car or getting married, you know, that's going to be financial pressure towards there. So property is the thing that I always recommend buy something using no capital. So that's the first bit. Number two is that you have to buy something which is flexible enough for you to rent it out, which will not be a financial burden to you every month, and you can also stay in it.
Okay.
So it's not just purely for investment, but you have to personally like the property to the point where, hey. So there's two things. So a lot of people just talk about it from an investment point of view, but you know, me and him, our first property is the same. We can rent it out, but at the same time, if we have to stay there, it's still a pretty good property, which I think a lot of people
able to afford. Right. I think that's the most,
Right, so you can afford it, someone can pay for it. If you don't want to stay in it, if you have to sell it, it's not going to be sold at a loss. That means you didn't overpay. So these are all criteria that I think people should look at. And because of that, buying apartments and condominium as your first property makes more sense, because it fulfills all the requirement of little to no down payment. It's self-sustainable. It gives you multiple options of whether you can stay in it, you can rent it out, and if you don't overpay, when you want to sell the property, you will actually make money.
Yeah, but one thing that a lot of people may not experience it, or should I say get themselves involved in it a bit more, because again, when we talk about property, more often than not, we talk about home property. Either you want to live in it or you want to rent it out. But what about commercial? I mean, would it be something that is beneficial for anyone out there? I mean, like, again, shop lots out there or any type of commercial buildings and so on and so forth. Could that be also a way for a young investor, a younger investor, to look into, because that would generate a bit more and much more stability? William, what do you think about that?
Very interesting question. I think because I think for youngsters, right, like people of my gen, I mean Gen Z, right? So I don't think we look at commercial at the first place, right? Because for us, the perspective is that it's of a higher level kind of investment, right? And I mean, I did study that. I learned a few from a few uncles.
FAIZUL's like, it's expensive.
What's the major difference then? Why is it a scarceful idea to think about it, even if you're not very much well versed in it?
Actually, it's capital. Like what
it's all about
if you don't have $500,000 cash, it's a whole hard cash, right?
Okay.
Right? You can forget about it, because your down payment typically is 10 to 20%. That's transaction cost. And for commercials, it's very normal for any new commercial rate to take 3 to 5 years to mature. So that means you've got zero tenant for 3 to 5 years. I've got a mentor who's been doing commercial property for the last 30 years. She can only get it 60% right, even after 30 years.
After 30 years only, wow.
And if you buy the wrong commercial, even if you pay that guy renovation costs, he can still reject you if there's no crowd.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
You buy a property next to a graveyard, if it's cheap enough, by 500 ringgit compared to a non-graveyard view, there will be tenant who's, I'm going to take the 500 ringgit savings and stay next to a bunch of ghosts.
I think in the past few years, as you mentioned, the government has really tried to encourage first-time home buyers. So we have so many different benefits. Can you just slowly maybe tell our audience what are some of the benefits for our first home buyer?
Okay, so we operate in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia, so we get to see perspective from property ownership for multiple countries. Malaysians, especially young Malaysians, are extremely blessed. You can own a property, as young as 23 years old, right? Because there'll be banks willing to lend money to you. You can buy property using little to no cash. You can't do that in Singapore.
Yeah, it's such a hassle hearing my Singaporean friends.
Indonesia, something similar. Housing quality is pretty bad, and it is more expensive compared to Malaysia. And to have a there's no young Singaporean or young Indonesian like William. 28, bought 8 property using no cash. No one. No one in Indonesia, no one in Singapore. Only in Malaysia. Reason because the ecosystem allows it. So today there's a lot of first-time home buyer schemes that was introduced by all the governments, right? From even back in 2011 all the way to today. All these housing schemes are great, right? Aiding first-time home buyer. The only, I guess, question mark here is that when the house or affordable home being built, are they being built at a location whereby the first-time home buyers will want to stay? Because why you see today, majority of the unsold property are actually within the 300,000 and below category. Right? And the reason
because
is
they're at the wrong location, is it?
It's not the location that the young people want to stay. So I think the definition of a first-time home buyer, affordable housing has to change because there's also a significant demographic change. We are using a definition from 20 years ago whereby affordable housing must be minimum 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom. But yet the young people today, more of them are choosing to not get married. Either due to the fact that as a woman, I earn more than my future partner, which doesn't make sense, right? And a lot of people are choosing to be single. So studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom should be part of affordable housing criteria rather than just plain 3-bedroom.
This is why a 15-minute session of Fresh Brew is never enough when you want to learn more about property, because you need to, crack heads with FAIZUL together with William, 3 hours literally. I mean, I think that's the minimum for you to really understand.
That's kind of a webinar duration, right? 3 hours.
That's why he has a group chat of like 8 friends.
That buzzes every single minute. Ultimately, William, and this is also to FAIZUL, is it the time right now, 2025 at least, for young people to go out there and buy themselves a property made for to live in or to invest in? What do each of you think about this? Is it time to buy now? Just go and capture that?
Especially given our PR is quite low right now.
I think I'll start with a newbie point of view.
Newbie point of view.
Whether or not he smacks you down after that, no idea, but go ahead.
I think timing is actually not on the macro point of view, but it's more on the individual point of view, right? Especially when you are mentally ready and monetarily ready, right? So whenever you are ready in both terms, right, I think it's always a good time to go. And the key here actually also is the entry price of the property itself, right? So this one doesn't really matter about the macro side of view, but it's more on the pricing of the property itself. When the price is good, right, it's always a good time to enter. So, which I think this leads to the expert, Mr. FAIZUL, to elaborate more on this point.
FAIZUL, now, really?
Macro viewpoint here is that interest rate will come down because Trump is pushing for a 300 rate drop next year, right? So that would most likely put OPR under pressure. OPR will most likely go down in the next 12 months. So because of that, the global economy is slowing. There will be a lot more offers for first-time home buyers. So, for example, like 6 months ago, if I'm looking at a first home buyer at 400,000, 500,000, it's very hard to buy a house and get a free car today. The number of those kind of deals, because developers are a little bit more desperate, more willing, right? There are a lot more deals whereby today, as a first-time home buyer, you can literally buy property and get cash enough to fully pay off a car. So buy a property and get a fully paid car.
Oh.
And the rental will be sufficient to cover. Don't take car loan because interest rate is going to go down and car loans are flat rate. So anything with flat rate, don't take it because if OPR goes down, you don't enjoy it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? OPR will go down.
All right.
All right.
Mark, this one from FAIZUL RIDZUAN here. Okay. OPR will go down. Thank you so much to FAIZUL RIDZUAN together with William Chua for coming down onto the show. Really appreciate you both gentlemen in sharing with us. Like I said, 15 minutes is not enough. We need a 3-hour session with each other.